Anytime you build a spaceship real size and put it on a set, it feels pretty impressive. That's what we did for the most part.
We created through our research and through our designs a kind of a retro future world.
Runner!
We're entering an era now where visual effects is just part of the storytelling.
Special operators, when they hit the ground, they always have some kind of vehicle which will get them places. We just posited that these guys would have these hover bikes, which we call jet hogs.
We have these jet hogs, which are kind of a retro jet cycle. They aren't a sleek, modern sort of Star Wars-y type thing. They're much more of a Harley-Davidson mindset.
Some kind of hybrid air turbine, little petrochemical something happening there.
First thing we have is a big jet turbine. We'll have some air going through this thing, and it's going to hit the fan blades, and it's going to make it spin. So that'll be a practical effect. All of the electronics on the bike will actually turn on. We're going to have some GPS light pad type things. So we have some headlights and stuff. We've used a lot of parts from various things. I'm not going to say what. We'll leave that up to the audience to figure out how the hell they made this thing. We've got a bunch of propulsion turbine thrusters all over the bike. Then we have a main booster that's underneath that goes one position, clicks to a 2 and a 3. So like a helicopter or the new type of Harrier jump jet planes we have, you can be able to pitch, yaw, roll, bring it back, do all these different positions.
Do you think you can ride one of these things? I'll ride it like I stole it. 3, 2, 1.
We have 3 physically built jet hogs.
We take it right up until the point Riddick puts his handlebars forward as if to exit, and that's a cut.
But the intention is to shoot as much as we can with the principal actors on these jet hogs.
I'm just kind of a sci-fi geek, and I just love stuff like that. I know when I jump on it, there's gonna be one thing, probably fans blowing on us. We're gonna be sitting there going, woo, woo. What I'm really excited about is kind of the finished product. I've seen some of the mock-ups, the drawings of how the planet is supposed to look, and I'm so excited about it, like a little kid, you know?
We actually shot some plate photography for the rolling landscape. We were in a terrain that we couldn't really travel across because it was too rugged. There was just nothing that could ride comfortably. We would, of course, replace the sky and replace the horizon. However, we get our perfect ground texture out of it. That's very high resolution. We can move up and down within the frame. For the more complex riding scenes, we're going to be inserting digital stunt doubles, riding digital jet hogs.
We are redoing one ship to work for both the more barrio mercenary kind of crew and the maybe elite crew.
Went through a lot of different processes for Boss John's ship to finally decide on what we wanted. We wanted to stay with something that we would believe could do vertical takeoff and landing and seem as if it could be traveling in space as well as in the atmosphere. Also need to be a tactical ship, so there's our guns that we have at the front. Came up with some insignia for him and his elite mercenary fighting group. The construction of this is quite a large steel and plywood box with styrofoam cutouts over the top of it that we've then coated with shellac and smoothing surface before painting it. So it's really just a lot of plywood and styrofoam. The engines will all be made to rotate in visual effects. The landing gear actually does go up and down. It's something that we took from a 747 that was abandoned. Our doors work, they're practical, they'll open on camera. Ramps go out, provides the access in and out of the ship. We have basically a weightless sleeping system. You would sleep vertically, but being weightless, you'd be held in by the harnesses. You would need to have some sort of system that would feed you as well as put you in a suspended kind of animation. So that's what we're suggesting happens here. It's our hatch. It does actually go all the way through the top. This was just lockers and storage areas. That takes us up into communications area, sort of a single position. Everything can be reached from where one is sitting.
Rolling.
This is the power nodules, and this one's the one that gets pulled out. It's not plugged in right now. It's all part of the energy system that's running the ship.
Cut, reset.
That takes us forward into the cockpit, and we tried to stay very much with the kinds of instrumentation that we were seeing on the current day space shuttles and some of the new experimental aircraft. Behind us through the rest of the ship is the cargo space. And what we're seeing in here right now are the cases for the jet hogs. We actually built the platform for the way station at first because we had quite a lot of heavy equipment in here and we needed the flat floor of the stage. And then as we got that to a particular point, then we came back in and shaped the ground, put concrete over all of that. And then we came back with other dirt and gravel and ground materials over the top of that to begin to suggest the tundra. It's a mercenary stopover and maintenance station, but it's also someplace that could be used by adventure explorers or research scientists on this planet, was a part of our concept behind what the place should be like. It's run by some sort of solar type energy. It's been here for some time, and so there are pieces of equipment that are abandoned and not used anymore. The concept in here was to keep it very utilitarian, so there's not a lot of finished walls. It's not meant to be a place that one stays and is comfortable. We played it as pretty much it's a temperate environment, so we're not worried about extreme colds or necessarily extreme heats.
Unidentified vessel. This is Clan Bagos out of Ursa 5.
This was part of the communications area. These are some of our wanted posters. You get the face and the profile all in the same shot. We try to give it a little different kind of look. As with any place where one's going to be for a long time, you've got to divide it up between your cooking area, your eating area, and more of a recreational area. So we designed all those areas to work around what was kind of the commons area. It was the communications area. So off of that area would be the berthing area. The bedding was all designed to be folded up as if it had been stored, a lot of this sort of feeling about things of there being some items that would always be here, that whoever came would have access to hazmat stuff or certain safety gear. And off of that, the latrine, which now is a bit disheveled from the filming that was done. It was a combination shower, toilet, sink, could almost do everything in one place. We've tried to establish this place had its own well underneath, that it brought up its own water and some sort of a purification system. And then just for fun, we put a barbecue on the side porch.
V-marker.
Yep. Ready and action.
This is the big crude machine shop area where the jet hogs come in. And then over to the other side, the delicate electronics kind of area where all the wires and little bits would be. And then off of that, because it's generally a bunch of guys and mercenaries, there's the weight room. Skylights for natural lighting, tried to imply that there was a heating and ventilation system and a lighting system and power and all those kinds of things. Windows were all shuttered so that when it's closed up, it could be protected. The other thing that we tried to do here was to keep it somewhat military, which is relatively monochromatic with accents here and there. So there's a couple of yellow handrails, there's a few sort of orangey fire extinguishers, and that's pretty much it for the color. It keeps it more about being a service kind of environment rather than an enjoyment kind of environment.
He was never inside this fucking locker.
We believe that this is a place that's been around for quite some years. I didn't want it to feel like this was the first time it was used. Other mercenaries, other scientists, other adventure explorers, other people had been here. We had some ideas about other kinds of layers that might have been there as far as photographs or postcards or pictures. There was some thoughts that maybe that was starting to get a little too soft for our movie, so we took those kinds of elements back out. But it was always a plan to give it a feeling that they were just another one in a line of people that have used and are going to use this place.
It's amazing to see what they've done with the sets. It all just feels really real.
I gotta tell you, I got here and it just totally took me by surprise. Like, the ship is amazing.
Very detailed, very meticulous, very real looking.
Anyone take 3 beyond.
Working on these kind of sets reminds me of what I thought making movies was about when I first got into the industry.
Action.
It takes you right into the moment.